we understand that you do not need a million followers. You just need a set of true fans. A small group of people who are super fans, who are interested in what you're doing, who find it relevant, who can solve something through your product or your content or whatever. And so they find value, they gain something from it. I see people who are like, well, now everyone wants to create content and everyone wants to become famous and everyone thinks that they're going to be able to make it as an influencer or a content creator. But there's a huge difference between what a traditional lifestyle influencer was trying to achieve and what a creator entrepreneur or a content creator with business goals is trying to create. So when we talk about a traditional influencer, what their business goals are, what their overall goals are, I have no idea. Like, I don't know what they're all about when it comes to goals. For me, looking from the outside, maybe with some level of ignorance, what I see is just like people trying to turn their lives into something that they can monetize. Their lifestyle, what they do, what they eat, what they share, the places they go to, and they try to package that in a way that looks attractive to their audience so that they can pull that audience in, keep their attention, and then build that audience over time, and then get to a point where they have enough audience that the reach that they have is now attractive to other brands, to external companies. So when it comes to specific goals, I'm not sure what they are trying to achieve. I would think that the goal is we need to have an audience as big as possible so that it is attractive and I can put a price tag on it for a brand. And so I think that they would depend on brand deals to bring in some revenue streams and on campaigns for other products and product reviews and so on. And maybe even for products that they have never heard of in their lives, that they don't even use, that they don't care about, but they'll be willing to test them, try them, share them, review them, and so on. Now, when it comes to the creator, entrepreneur, or the content creator in today's age, I think that they have specific goals, business-oriented goals that need content. So content becomes an engine. It's not the end goal. The goal is not let's create content for the sake of creating content. The content has specific goals. They start with the goals and then content turns into a marketing engine to fuel those goals. That's what loads of creators are doing now. That's what the creator entrepreneurs are doing. That's what the founders who are building in public are doing. They're not creating content as their final thing, their final product or project. They're creating content as an engine for what they are building to achieve the goals that they have. It's very different. Like, the approach overall is very different. Now, something else that's very different is the audience that you need. When we talk about the creator entrepreneur or the founder who's building in public, they have a specific audience in mind that they want to reach. Their audience is not the whole world. From my point of view, a traditional influencer, a lifestyle influencer wants to reach as many people as possible because the more followers that they have, the bigger their audience, the more they can monetize that. A creator entrepreneur or a founder who's building in public knows that the world is not their audience. They know that they are building and creating for a specific set of people, for their target audience, for specific goals, and based on that goals, they create content that enables them to reach those goals. So it's not like, let me just create content about what I'm doing today because I think it's fun and I'd like to share that. that's not it. That's not the approach. It's not just watching for entertainment and fun and that's it. There's a deeper connection. There's a reason for them to show up again, for them to tune in, and for them to follow you along the journey. So I think it's a much more interesting storyline and a much more interesting connection between the creator and their audience. And it is very different.
Okay, so let's kind of land some of these ideas. Influencers, creators, and so on. One big shift that's happening is that creators now are not only dependent on brand deals and something that's transactional, like we'll create a piece of content together and that's it. They're shifting from one-time collaborations, one-time transactions, one-time content to ongoing collaborations, like long-term partnerships. Why? Because companies and influencers and creators are starting to notice and to understand the huge difference that you can gain from creating a piece of content that's a one and done, that's transactional, from a long-term partnership or collaboration. If you do a long-term partnership or collaboration, you get to understand that trust is built over time. Like a one-time piece of content may get you some conversions, but if you really want to leverage the audience of the person, the influencer, the creator, whomever you're working with, you need to build trust with them over time. And you don't get to build trust with a single piece of content. You build trust over time. So that's a huge shift. Another big shift is in terms of creators now becoming a part of the brand, a part of the product, a part of the company. So I'll give you an example. A clear example is we're starting to see creators, influencers, and the likes become the chief creator officer of X brand or X product. Why? Because the cost of acquisition reduces significantly. If I can leverage the audience of an influencer or a creator, that significantly reduces my cost of acquisition. So bringing in the influencer, the creator as the creator, executive officer, or even as a long-term brand ambassador is something that's happening, and it's only going to increase and shift how brands and creators collaborate.
When we talked about creators and influencers and creator entrepreneurs, like people are kind of confusing these terms a lot. They're thinking that a creator entrepreneur and a content creator has the same goals as a traditional influencer, which is not true at all from what I see from my point of view. Like influencers' big goal is we need to have a huge audience. We need to increase followers. We need to increase engagement. We need to increase conversion rates when we create a content piece in collaboration with a brand. But creator entrepreneurs and content creators, they understand that content is not the ultimate goal. The content is simply a marketing engine. It fuels your goals. You do not start with, I want to create content. I want to share what I do. Like these usual or traditional sense in which we thought of an influencer, like the lifestyle influencer. I think it's in decay. Like the new way to connect with an audience is not to create a single piece of content and expect that to have an incredibly high conversion rate. That's just not how brands are seeing the future of these collaborations, because what you want as a brand when you collaborate with influencers or content creators is to leverage their audience and leverage the trust that they have built with their audience. And you're not quite able to do that with a single piece of content. Like if I create a piece of content, or someone creates a piece of content and says, hey, this is the product that I'm sharing today, you should go and try it. It wouldn't really generate the value or the conversions that the brand is looking for. Whereas if you share the product with the influencer or the content creator you want to work with, and then have them over time build that connection with their audience and that product, like connect those things, the audience and the product, then you can expect better results. But a single piece of content, I don't think that's going to generate the conversions that you want, the connection that you want, the trust that you want to leverage. That's really hard to achieve with a single piece of content. Now, huge difference between influencers and content creators, or the creator entrepreneur. The creator entrepreneur understands that content is just an engine. Content is part of their marketing mix. Content is part of their marketing strategy. The ultimate goal is definitely not content. Content is simply an engine so they can achieve those goals that they have. They do not start with, I want to create content. They start with, I want to achieve A, B, C, and D goals. And for those goals, I need content. I need to be able to connect with my audience and share with my audience and communicate to my audience in a weekly basis or in a daily basis. But it's not about me. It's not about sharing what I do. It's not about entertaining the audience. It's about actually bringing value to your audience and then building something with them over time. Like a lot of influencers and traditional content creators, let's say the typical influencer that you can think of, they're thinking a lot about entertaining their audience. And the market for entertainment is so much more bigger than the market for a niche product or a niche thing that actually generates more value. Let's take Netflix as an example. If you take a Netflix show that's super entertaining, the potential audience for that is much more bigger than if you take a very niche show that's about business or digital marketing or SaaS, B2B marketing, product marketing, anything like that. The audience kind of just becomes smaller and smaller because your goal is not to entertain. Like everyone wants to watch some entertainment at a given moment in time, which is why business models like the one that Netflix has and other streaming platforms have really work because they have a very broad audience. But people who want to gain value from the shows that they watch are going to be much more selective on what they watch. So what I'm trying to say is a show that brings value to a specific audience is going to be able to have a super connected audience, but that audience will be smaller than a show that's just focused on entertaining the audience. That show may have a bigger audience. It doesn't mean that when they bring a product and when they want the audience to purchase something, it doesn't mean that the conversion rate will be that high. Because even if there's a bigger audience, they are not necessarily true fans, because I don't think that you can have 1 million true fans. I think you can have 1,000 true fans. And so when you bring a product to those 1,000 true fans, you can expect higher conversion rates than if you bring a product to 1 million people. Because whoever is creating content for these 1,000 people understands them, understands their pains, understands what they want, what they care about. I don't think that you can really understand what 1 million people want and care about. Like when it comes to bringing value, when it comes to entertainment, sure. But when it comes to, I want to sell a product and I want a high conversion rate, I think that you will get better results from an audience of 1,000 people that are really tuned in than an audience of 1 million people who just want to be entertained. Hope that makes sense. And so when people say, well, everyone's now creating content, everyone wants to become famous, everyone wants to go viral, I don't really agree. Not because you're creating content, it means that you want to be famous or want to go viral. Creator entrepreneurs and creators, new creators from this AI era, they understand that you do not need to go viral and you do not need 1 million followers to be able to gain some traction, to understand that audience and then build something for them.